So in an era where digital threats loom larger by the minute, being able to dissect and analyze these threats becomes a beacon of power. And today we embark on a journey into malware itself. We're going to demystify malware analysis from beginners and turn complex into simple by showing you these 3 tools that I personally use when I do any malware analysis. These tools include VirusTotal, app.any.run, and then the sanctuary of a virtual machine. So this guide is your first step to becoming a digital detective in a world of all of these invisible threats. You're going to have the power to be able to analyze that malware yourself. Together, we're going to unlock the mysteries of malware analysis and make cybersecurity accessible to everyone. Hi, I'm AJ, and on this channel, we talk about all things cybersecurity and online safety. So we now live in a world where these digital threats are ever evolving. So it's important for a cybersecurity professional to understand how to perform malware analysis. But these days, it's getting extremely important for beginners and everyday users to understand the basics of malware analysis, because there's threats that are coming at them every single day. So first up then, what actually is malware analysis? So malware analysis is actually an art and a science of dissecting malicious software to understand its functionality, its origin, and its capabilities. To understand what malware analysis actually is, I'm going to show you 3 tools that I use as a cybersecurity professional to perform malware analysis. But I'm going to show you how to use these 3 tools as a beginner, so let's get into it. So first up on the list then is actually VirusTotal. So VirusTotal is a platform, and it's one of the most common cybersecurity and well-known platforms out there that uses over 70 antivirus scanners and URL domain blacklisting services to provide a comprehensive report on any files that you submit to it. So it's one of the most well-known automated submission and malware analysis platforms out there, and it's relatively simple. All you need to do is go to virustotal.com, and it'll present you with this screen then where you can upload your file. You can pick your file. And we're going to use a test file here. So this is the eCar file. So if you're not aware of the eCar file, it's used to test malware scanners. So all you need to do then is just upload this file. As you can see, it's marked as 65 out of 70 of the antivirus vendors that are on VirusTotal are marking this as malicious. So as you can see here, it's telling us that it's the eCar file. It knows exactly what it is because this is a file that's been uploaded previously. But this is a good way to be able to test any file, is to upload it to VirusTotal. You always want to be careful, especially if you're working within a company. You don't want to be uploading company documents to here by accident, just in case you are doing analysis on internal documents. This probably isn't the best platform to use because everything that you publish here will be public. So any documents will be public and anybody can go in and download them. So always be very careful when you're analyzing within a company or using company documents or maybe even your own personal documents. Be very careful uploading here. You kind of want to be uploading more kind of generic samples. So anytime maybe there's a phishing email sent to you or maybe a suspicious PDF, this is the place that you want to come and just check that out first rather than submitting anything that could be considered private information. So what you want to do then, so VirusTotal is relatively simple. It's doing a lot of analysis on the hash of the file, as you can see here. You can go through the platform, it'll show you the details, it'll show you the MD5 hash, SHA-1 hash. Don't worry if you don't understand any of these. If you want to do cybersecurity, things like this, you'll be able to learn relatively quickly. But it's just a single identifier for the file in a hash form. But all of these things, don't worry if you don't understand them at this time. That's the whole point about this. It's a beginner lesson of just showing you how this tool actually works. If you want more in-depth videos on cybersecurity basics, let me know. Comment down in the description and let me know if that is of interest to you, and I will make those videos. As you can go in here then, you go into relations, and what it's looking to do is looking to kind of relate it to any other indicators of compromise that are out there, or any other indicators that might be related to this file. So it's trying to pull in specific domains that might be related, IP addresses that have been contacted, execution parents. So it's saying that these files have potentially been related to the file that we've uploaded. So as you go through here then, this is obviously a test file, but if this was an actual file, it would look extremely malicious, and these indicators from VirusTotal would definitely stand out for us. And then you've also got the behaviors tab as well, where it's actually processing this through a sandbox. So you can see here it's been processed through the various sandbox here, and this is how it's being able to analyze the file and give us a judgment based on that file. And you can see here it's got the detection, so it's noticed it as malware, as Trojan. It's created the MITRE ATT&CK signatures, so it's showing which signatures on the MITRE ATT&CK framework it relates to, and more information in here about actually how the tactics and techniques were triggered and which signatures on the MITRE ATT&CK framework were actually flagged here. So VirusTotal is really a good tool to start to learn and start to understand if you are looking to try and get into cybersecurity, or if you're just trying to do general analysis. This is a great tool to start with. Simply uploading the file, and then it's going to do the analysis on the file in the background for you. So VirusTotal is a great tool, but the only limitation with VirusTotal is that you can't actually interact with the file itself. So sometimes a hacker might send an email with a malicious file, and the file might actually need to be interacted with by the end user before the malware will even activate. But if that happens, then we can't actually analyze that properly in VirusTotal. So the next tool for that is something called app.any.run, and it's actually an interactive malware analysis platform, and this does actually let us interact with the file, which is really great. So what you can do, you can go in, create a new task, and then you can upload a file. So we upload that here, and then I'm just going to choose it to start the object from desktop. All the other settings you can leave the same. Run as a public task. Again, remember, everything that goes through here is going to be public, so always be careful about what documents you're putting in here, because if anybody can find the link to this virtual machine, as you can see here, they're going to be able to see the documents that you've put in there. So as you can see here, then we've got our test file here, and we can actually interact with it. So this is a virtual machine that is fully interactable, which is great. And as you can see here, we can open it up and we can see the malicious strings inside of this file. So for example, if this was a phishing file and it required the user to click on it and then open up a PDF, which then opens up a link to the phishing domain, we won't be able to see that in VirusTotal. But if you can interact with that in here, then it's something that you can see and interact with. So it makes your analysis a little bit better. And the great thing then with app.any.run, that it'll also review any HTTP requests, any connections that are being made by that file, any DNS requests. It'll review for any threats. And as you can see over here, then it'll also create a process tree. So you'll be able to see that if that malware actually triggered any other processes, it'll do the analysis for you here, which is a really great tool. So it's not only interactive, but it also can help do some of the analysis for you as well. So like I mentioned, app.any.run is great, but the third tool I'm going to show you is actually a virtual machine. So as you've noticed that I've mentioned with VirusTotal and app.any.run, that any malware analysis that you're actually doing is going to be public. So sometimes if you're working within a company, you don't want the documentation, or you don't want anything internally, or maybe you're doing some specific malware analysis that you don't want the public to find out about just yet. You want to be using a private tool, and the best way to do that is actually with a virtual machine. So I've been running these in a virtual machine. So as you can see here, I'm using VMware Fusion, and that's just an application that allows me to deploy a virtual machine on my Mac. So a virtual machine is just like a malware sandbox, where it's able to reveal secrets for these malware files without causing any harm to actually the underlying Mac OS or any host that you're actually using. So you might have a Windows PC where you're running VMware Fusion or VirtualBox. If you want any help setting up a virtual machine, then do comment down below if you're interested in that, and I can create a video on how I set up VMware Fusion on my Mac. But this is what it is, VMware Fusion then. So I can open up my virtual machine library, and as you can see, I've got a Windows VM and I've got a Debian, which is my Kali Linux VM. So effectively, just think of it like a computer inside a computer. It's a lot more complicated than that, but that's the best way to think about it. And then when this virtual machine starts, then now I've got an instance of Kali where I can do all of my analysis safely. So most malware won't be able to escape the VM. There is some malware that can escape VMs and is very sophisticated. But usually most of the time when you're doing your analysis within a virtual machine itself, it's going to be private and it's going to be safe and it's going to be contained, and it's not going to be able to affect your main host or your main laptop, for example. So again, the great thing about having this virtual machine there is that you can interact with this privately. So similar to the interactive nature of app.any.run, I can open up this file, and as you can see here, I can see the code within the file itself. I can do some analysis on the file. So if I wanted to open up a terminal here, I could change into the downloads folder. I can change into the downloads folder, then I can find that file, and if I wanted to, then I could do strings, which is just going to show me the printable strings inside of a file. So if you are doing analysis on the file, you could start off by doing the strings on the file, have a look through the contents of what has been printed out. Maybe there's some IP addresses in there, maybe there's some domains. This is when you're starting to get into more the advanced malware analysis, where you're actually dissecting the file and doing static analysis on it. So VirusTotal and app.any.run are more dynamic platforms where the analysis has been done in the background for you, With a virtual machine, that's when it's getting more sophisticated, and that's where you're doing more of the analysis yourself, and it's called static analysis. And what I find helps when I'm doing static analysis, because I can't remember each method for analyzing each type of file. So what I'll do, I'll go into ChatGPT and I'll ask it a question such as, I am analyzing a potentially malicious PDF within my Kali Linux virtual machine. Please provide some steps that I can do to analyze this. And then it's going to give us some instructions then. So it's obviously saying set up a safe environment, which is what we've already got. But the main thing it's going to do here is going to say is obtain the necessary tools. So what I'll do here then, for example, I pick p.pdf. It's already telling us actually how to install it. It's then showing us how to do the initial analysis on it. So it's just saying use the PDF to check for suspicious elements, use the PDF parser to further inspect the flags, so deeper dive analysis. So these are the kind of ways that you can use the virtual machine and ChatGPT on specific files, because usually each malware file that is coming to you is a different type of software, so it's going to use a different technique for static analysis to be able to analyze it. But the best place to do this is inside a virtual machine, but that's more complicated analysis. If you wanted me to go more in depth into these tools and the more complex tools, then please do comment down below and I'll do a more advanced malware analysis video if that's something that you guys want. So when you're doing your malware analysis, the whole point is that you use a combination of each one of these tools to get as much information as you can about that malicious software to understand its capabilities, its functions, and its origins. And this will ultimately then let you piece together the actual puzzle and the ultimate goal of what that malware is trying to do. You can now use these skills then to protect yourself, your friends and family, and your company from these digital threats. Always be careful when you're analyzing malware. Be careful of what you're doing with that malware sample, but use these tools the right way and as they're intended, and always be safe. Now, thank you for watching this video. If you're ready to deep dive into a world of cybersecurity, or you're interested in getting into cybersecurity, make sure you go and watch this video next, because it's going to teach you how to get into cybersecurity with zero experience. So I'll see you in that video.